Welcome back. For years now, American companies and Washington have considered the need to corner and discipline China for cyber espionage. But just when the presidents of China and the United States sat down to discuss the issue of cybersecurity and the role of China in the world order now, an ex-CIA operative traveled all the way to Hong Kong to embarrass America and its intelligence agencies.
This revelation has landed the US in the eye of the storm. Edward Snowden has left America's cyber espionage exposed, and further leaving India shocked, as it turns out to be the fifth most tracked country in the world.
Even if you're not doing anything wrong, you're being watched and recorded, and the storage capability of these systems increases every year consistently by orders of magnitude, to where it's getting to the point you don't have to have done anything wrong. You simply have to eventually fall under suspicion from somebody, even by a wrong call.
These revelations by a former American intelligence officer exposing the PRISM, which is a secret US eavesdropping program. But President Barack Obama is far from apologetic. In fact, he's only justified the act.
Nobody is listening to your telephone calls. That's not what this program's about. But I think it's important to recognize that you can't have 100% security and also then have 100% privacy and zero inconvenience.
If the fact that we are being spied upon comes as a concern, one look at the amount of information snooped upon by the US would send our establishment in a state of shock. With the amount of data collected in March this year from India going up to 6.3 billion reports, making India the fifth most tracked country by the US after Iran, Pakistan, Jordan and Egypt.
We do take steps and are taking steps periodically that will provide for better security measures. But whether we are number 5 or we are there at all, etc., is something that would take some time to verify.
This illegal breach showing just how weak the cybersecurity in India is. Even the National Security Council Secretariat has just last year submitted a draft report to the Cabinet Committee asking for funds to enable cybersecurity in India.
The National Security Council's document makes it very clear where India's cybersecurity deficiencies are, and there are many. For one, there are only 556 Indians working in cybersecurity. These are figures for 2012. In comparison, in America, there were 91,000 people working in cybersecurity in 2011.
Snowden's revelations comes as a harsh wake-up call to India. While the government has officially protested against US's spying program, India has also initiated the process to recruit more than 4,000 cyber experts in various government agencies to counter snooping.
I don't think the Indian government or the agencies could really keep a watch on what a foreign nation is doing. All this digital snooping is clearly dependent more on technology available to you, the tools available to you. Of course, it's the smart individuals who do that. But then, India doesn't have a dearth of smart individuals as far as the, software sector is concerned.
The man who opened the can of worms has gone missing.
You can't come forward against the world's most powerful intelligence agencies and be completely free from risk, because they're such powerful adversaries that no one can meaningfully oppose them. If they want to get you, they'll get you in time.
Now, America is under fire from groups within, with the American Civil Liberties Union filing a lawsuit against the US government and the NSA. Even the European Union is raising concerns about US's cyber spying program. While the jarring reality is that there seems to be no end to this cyber warfare, the question is, can the Indian government put its foot down and send out a clear message to America?
As this report has shown, there is still uncertainty to what extent the American intelligence agencies have been snooping on private correspondence, emails, and business interactions. And we have with us Dr. Stephen Bucci, who is with the Allison Center at the Heritage Foundation, and a former U.S. Special Forces officer, former Pentagon official, and an ex-IBM consultant on cybersecurity to answer our questions. Dr. Bucci, my first question. Do you think President Obama, having stated that American citizens and their rights haven't been violated, has somewhat dented America's reputation internationally, where the world is beginning to feel that America has double standards, one for its own citizens and one for the rest of the world, while it still blames China for cyber espionage?
Well, I don't think it does, because they did not target international citizens in a scattered manner. They went specifically for individuals with whom they already had some intelligence saying that they were involved in terrorism. So they would take that information, go to one of our special courts, and get permission to look for that information. They weren't just surfing the entire internet and reading everyone's mail.
Well, interesting, because critics have also said, and I can quote Edmund Burke, who has said that America tends to follow a geographical morality, which means that human rights issues apply largely for America within American territory, but when it comes to dealing with enemies of the state, drone attacks and torture of prisoners are acceptable. And this really brings the critics again into the fore against America, which says that America has again been following double standards with the rest of the world. So do you agree with that?
Well, no, I don't agree with that. I can understand some people feeling that way, but again, the rights and considerations given to American citizens under the United States Constitution are not applicable to everyone in the world. If someone has shown that they are hostile to the United States, I don't see that it's a big problem that our intel services were trying to get information on them. I'm guessing that the Indian Intelligence Service also does that to anyone they consider a potential threat to the Indian people.
Well, interesting you bring out India, because that's my next question. India is apparently the fifth ranked country in terms of American surveillance, and it is also believed that 4 or 5 American companies had enormous clout over global businesses, and companies that did business with other countries could actually share secrets with countries that were hostile to countries they were doing business with. Is that true?
I think we do have some countries that have a great deal of influence. I don't think any of that business information was shared with the U.S. government. As I said, the particular program you're referring to, the so-called PRISM program, was aimed specifically at individuals about whom we already had some sort of intelligence data. It was not aimed at the general citizenry or the business entities of any country.
Well, there is also a view that the volume of users in a particular company or a particular country, as in the case of India, which is ranked 5th amongst those countries that are being scanned by American intelligence agencies, and there is a lot of social media activity in India. We're one of the largest internet users in the world. I mean, does that make us all very vulnerable to the snooping activities of intelligence agencies?
Oh, I think it makes it vulnerable to the snooping of almost anyone's intelligence agencies. But again, I would emphasize the U.S. program that has been revealed was not a general sweeping of internet usage, but was targeted at specific individuals about which they already had threat information. So I think that the normal citizenry of a country like India that is very friendly, very peaceful, and a good friend of the United States should not be worried that the United States is reading their emails. That's just not what they were doing.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bucci. But this exposure has clearly dented America's reputation. And there are certain views across the world that America has been following geographical morality with one set of standards for its own people and another for the rest of the world. With that, we come to the end of this episode, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Latitude. Until then, goodbye and thank you.